you turn on the computer, you let me know, okay? So I can tell you what we're going to do. Okay. So I need you to start Schoology.com. Okay. And then you want to put in sign up. It's right here. And student. Because right now you are a student. I think so. You have to go back. Okay. Right. And then sign up and student. Okay. It's asking you for a black and white. I know. It's asking you for a code, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you the code. This is 2BPMS. 2BPMS hyphen HPCAP. No, it's your personal password. Any password, the one that you usually use. Okay. All right. So enter courses. You must. Oh yes, you must agree to choose. Yeah, you have to do this over again. Your birthday, and then click on accepting the choice. All right. We are right here. You must open this. And this is one that we're going to use right now. Okay. And it's going to show here, but if you scroll down, if you want to download it, you can do that. Okay? And while we wait for that, you want to open up another page. No, right here. On the okay? And then type in, what I see, you might be set up already. Here, EREZI. Right here, courses. Only English teaching. Lesson 8. Yes. Just give me a check. I'm going to scroll down. Here, so you can download it. Okay, and type in what I see. And then I'm going to give you my full name. Please. You're gonna write this. What I see. All of that. That's my full name.
But I see your No, no, of course. No, Prezi is the page. I scared you, huh? He said, what a funny name. Nah, that's the name of the page. That's just the name of the page.
Where's the first one, teacher?
Tigres.
Tigres?
Yes.
Okay.
Capital letters, okay? Tigres letters.
Capital letters.
Tigres, okay.
Okay, then I'll go.
Okay. Okay. Yes. Please open up your runs and finishes. Right. It's okay. Okay, so if you want to open up the full screen so you can watch that. Okay, let me tell you a little bit of what we're going to do today. We have two objectives. Objective number one is to runs and infinitives. Like I told you, the teachers that made their English test with me, I got a chance to look at their test and see what areas in English grammar they're lacking in. So one of the main areas that I noticed was first conditionals, which conditionals in general, 0, first, second, and third. And the other one is this. And I have seen through my many years experience, 20 years by the way, that a lot of students when they come to me and we start looking at this topic, their previous teachers confuse gerunds and infinitives with present progressive. It's absolutely common, okay? And that's actually what happened on the test with some of the teachers. They were supposed to choose the correct answer, and so among the options they had gerunds or infinitives, and they had chose the progressives. So that's why they had those teeny tiny errors there. Okay, so whenever I start this lesson, gerunds and infinitives, I always ask my students the question. I say, okay, guys, do you know what are gerunds? And then they always answer in Spanish, of course, you know. They typically do that, and they say gerundios, and you say, okay, yeah, what does that mean? And then they say, is ink? And I say, well, yes, it's the ink, okay. And if I want to apply it, how does it work? And then they say, teacher, it's ando endo in Spanish, right? Absolutely, it happens all the time. This is very common. So this is where I started, and I say, what if what you is incorrect? And they say, no, Lolita or Chayito or my teacher Pescadito, she told me that this was correct. And I said, well, love your teacher. Thank you very much for loving that. The endo and for the ar, and ir in Spanish. We're going to change. And then they say, how does that work? I said, well, it works completely different, right, to what we're used to. And I also like to tell them that, you know, in Spanish, it's so easy because you just say caminar, correr, saltar, nadar. You know, you just need one, you know, like one regular verb, right, to say that like in Spanish. And in English, I tell them, you know, we have these two things, gerunds and infinitives, and they are very complicated because we need to put more into the structure to make that effect in Spanish. This is one of the hardest things in English. Personally, I think gerunds and infinitives and prepositions are like the hardest things to teach our students, okay? So once I tell them that they need to leave the endo behind, okay? we can start with the lesson. Okay, so if you want to click, let me help Ingeniero Reza here because right there, Jonathan, yes, yes, please. Okay. So the first slide that you have there, can you please read it for me, Lily?
Yes. And in English sentence, sometimes you need to use it. And sometimes you need to.
Okay, go to the next one, please. Okay, for example, we have, I'm sad to see you leave. All right, so the first thing we have to do there is we have to identify the verb, and this helps students, once again, as always, identify parts of speech. Okay, so we tell the student, okay, which one is the main verb? Which one is the verb? And you will have actually students say, you know, things like sad, and then you tell them, no, that's an adjective. Okay, think again, and then sometimes they will tell you see, so you'll say, go back. And then, you know, you always have the smart one that is going to say, oh, teacher, the contraction with verb to be. Exactly. So you have their am, okay? And then this should already know infinitives, okay? Because we have talked to them about infinitives with the use of the will, or some people, instead of using the expression verb in the base form, they use verbs in infinitive, okay? So you explain to them that, okay? And I'm a lover of translating, okay? But just for the purpose of straight, you know, student, okay, can somebody please translate that sentence for me? Let's see, Ingeniero, can you translate that sentence for me, please? Yes.
It can be used as subject or
The next, no, before? One before? Yes. No?
No. It's this one and then it's that. We don't have that one.
Oops, but that shouldn't happen. It's the same page.
What is the next one? No?
No? Okay, teacher, I think you went way too far ahead. Samantha? I think you went way too far. I think Samantha went too far ahead. Look at where you are. You can drag this. Yes, you were fine. You were fine and you were fine.
So that's
Let me
great.
go. Okay, it's over. All right, and so just like one forward, and there you go. There. That's where we. I was guiding through Samantha's computer. Okay. Hold on. Okay. So let me see where we are. Because my computer is kind of slow. Hold on. Okay, we have where it says an infinitive. Is that where we are?
No.
A gerund. Okay, we are in a gerund. Okay, a gerund. Okay, so here we start explaining the student, right? Okay, so as you said, you were absolutely correct. The gerund is the verb plus an ing. Okay, and it works like a noun and not a verb. Okay, so for example, and then you can give them a sentence, right? And say like, cutting the melon, okay? And so you can show them the example and say, look at the sentence. Which one is the verb? Which verb do you immediately recognize? Stop, right? Okay, so exactly. So here, okay, it's going to work as a noun and not as a verb because we already have a verb, okay? So if I ask you, please name the parts of speech, you would say she is the subject, stop is the verb, cutting is the gerund, okay?
and then we have the complement, right? And then we would have the complement. Okay, you need to remind your students every time of the parts of speech. When you do this, it helps your students to eventually, definitely I know it has happened to you. Your students are already producing the language and they always skip or the subject or they always skip an auxiliary. Always. Because when they do that, you know that they are okay. And what you have to make them do is they have to react and they have to remember always how to structure correctly. So always going back to the basics, always going back to reminding your students about the parts of speech is a good idea. Always, okay? After all, this is a language, okay? This is a language. Us as Spanish speakers, we get Spanish classes to learn all these things. For some reason, we don't learn them. Okay, something happens on the way, but we have to learn the parts of speech because it's a language. Okay, and so we have there are different uses of the gerund. So the first one says it can be used as a subject. Okay, this also shocks the students because they are used to subject, I, you, he, she, we, it, they. They're so used to those subjects that when you tell them that you can also use gerund as a subject, they go, what? Like, what happened? Right? And so you give them there a good example. The example of swimming, the one that you have there on the screen. Swimming is fun. Okay, and here again, like I was saying, you tell your students for the purpose. Okay, let's see, translate it. Really? Swimming is fun. Again? Nada. You see? And you say, what did we say? We said gerund is not ando, endo, right? It's RRE. So instead of ando, is nadar. Exactly. Nadar es divertido. So now we are talking about using these gerunds, okay, into subjective sentence. What's the subject of the sentence? We're talking about swimming, okay? That is also a subject. Very easy, For example, on a test, if you see a blank at the beginning of the sentence, you should know that that verb is going to be in gerund and not in infinitive. All right, so for example, I have, if I have this example, blank exercise, in parentheses, is good for you, okay? There is no other option but to use this as gerund, okay? So here the only possible answer is this one, exercising this one, okay? That's the only option. You cannot say to exercise is good for you because you never start a sentence with infinitive. Or you just can't say exercise is good for us exercising, okay? That's another effect. And then they say, but I can't put exercise is good for you. No, exercise. Okay? All right. So far, so good? Yeah? Okay. You can also use, we're going to go more into this. This is just like a little presentation. You can also use gerunds as an object. Now, a lot of the times your students will not understand object. For example, when we're looking at object pronouns, and you show your students the two columns of subject pronouns and object pronouns, I always tell them, okay, let's use the verb love because you love, okay? And then I go, let's go from subject to object. And I say, we're going to start with subject I. I love me. I love you. I love him. I love her. I love it, whatever. But for some reason, when we change object into something like this, into a gerund, they don't understand it, okay? So what I tell them is, okay, this is what we're going to do. We are going to, instead of you saying as an object, we're going to use gerund after certain verbs. Gerunds after certain verbs, okay? And I'm going to tell you a little story about gerunds after certain verbs, okay? Yes?
Loving.
Yes, I love it. It is the object, right? But when we change it to verbs or to gerunds, in this case, they lose it. Okay, they're like, why a gerund? Where does it fit on the pronouns, right? It simply doesn't make click. So to not confuse them a lot, you tell them gerund after certain verbs, period. For example, like is a verb that you can use gerund with. So the sentence, I like sleeping, a mí me gusta dormir, with ir effect, okay? And then the other one, the other use of the gerund is after a preposition. This one is the hardest because, like I said, gerunds and prepositions are the hardest for our students, okay? The reason why is because in Spanish, everything is en, okay? This, my friends laugh because I tell them that is why in Spanish we have this typical phrase, y si voy y lo encuentro, ¿qué te hago? Because in Spanish, you know, if the person is looking for a marker, right? Mamá, ¿dónde está el marcador? Está en el buró. Está en el cajón, right? Everything is en. But in English, it changes. It's on, right? On the drawer. It's in, right? You know, whatever. The prepositions do change. They're more specific, okay? They're on the left, they're on the right, they're between, they're, you know, it's really very different to Spanish. So we have that lack of communication. Of course, we have them in Spanish too, right? We can say encima de, dentro de, right? We have them too, but we don't use them. We don't use them, okay? And that's when we get also lost in translation. So prepositions are really very difficult for our students. But you can tell them, you know, here it works a little bit different. We're going to see how it works, but because you definitely need to do this, you need to learn this, because gerunds after prepositions is a very common mistake that they always make in English, always. Okay. So, for example, we have here, I'm excited about traveling. Okay. So we have about preposition, and then we have the traveling. Let's see, Samantha, can you translate that one for me? Por viajar, right? Por viajar, because it's ir. Right, okay. All right, go to the next slide, please. Go to the next slide. Okay, and there we have the uses of the infinitive, okay? Just a reminder. This is too much for our students, okay? If this were an actual class, yeah, they would be crazy by now, okay? Absolutely, all right? We would have to go one by one, maximum 2 per day, okay? And work them out, do the presentation, practice, production, because this is too much. But since we are teachers, we already know this, we're reviewing, especially for my teachers that have the test next Saturday, you need to review this. Okay, so the next one is infinitive, is the use of the preposition to, plus the base form of the verb. Okay, I like to make a pause here with my students, okay, and tell them that this is why when they say things like to dancing, to bought, to, you know, I say thank you for using the past, but it's incorrect. Okay, you have to use to plus a base form. To dance, to swim, to play, to act, to drink, to whatever has to be in the base form. And you see, this is the complicated part, okay? Again, to create the effect, in Spanish, which is so easy, for English, we need 2 things, right? We need a to and a base verb. That's like crazy, right? It's crazy, but that's the effect. In order to have the we need to have to plus the base form of the verb. Okay, and then it says the tense never change it. You can't make it to the past or the future or the progressive or the whatever. You cannot change it. It always has to be to plus the base form of the verb. So some examples and some different ways to use the infinitive are the following. It says you use it after a verb. Okay, and remember, we had gerunds after verbs, and we also had, and now we have infinitives after verbs. For this one, I'm going to make a pause, okay? I need you to put on your computers, I need you to put escape escape.
Another page?
Yes, and I need you to open up another Google page. Images. I'm sorry, guys, my computer is a little bit slow, okay? I'll be back. Okay, and in Google Images, right here. Right. Put list for gerunds and infinitives. Or gerunds and infinitive lists. It's okay, whatever you want.
List of what?
List for gerunds and infinitives. There we go. Let's see if I can get my favorite list. So I'm going to tell you a teeny tiny story. Scroll down. Where's my favorite list? Here. Right there. No, it's not. That wasn't. Okay. Let's see. It has to be one that's divided into 3 columns. No, because those are only followed by gerund. Go back to the because I had it in my other computer. Thank you very much. Yeah, it was in my other computer. It's totally great. Okay.
It's a list.
Yeah, okay, let's listen to a different type. List for gerunds, infinitives, and both.
Both.
Yes. Again,
I just have
let's see if
both.
we can find it. Yes. List for gerunds, again,
Both.
gerunds, infinitives,
Both.
and both.
And both.
Yes. Exactly like that. Yes, exactly. Okay. Let's see. Hello? Because I need this list in order to tell you my favorite story. No, that's too much. It immediately comes up. If not, I'll try to get a different one. Let's go. Make it bigger. Oops. Is this size? Is this one? It doesn't look quite safe. Okay. Let me try. That's why I love my list. Okay. It looks something like this. And so,
Stop on share.
that's kind of like the list.
Yeah, I got it.
Amazing.
Where?
Where are the properties ones?
Very good. Could you see it? Could you get it? And that one looks pretty good. Okay. Okay, right? No,
I found out
you got,
that, yeah.
no, but I kind of go
Okay, I have to.
over here.
No.
All right, hold on, let's see.
Because I have to project it to the other teachers as well. Okay. What I'm trying to find, teachers, is a list, okay, of gerunds and infinitives. Well, I'll try to get the image in just a second if my laptop turns on. Meanwhile, I will tell you the story for you guys that are already here. Okay. So the list is divided into 3 parts. Okay. The first one is the gerunds. What happened? What? It's okay, Lily. If you want to start. Oh, you got it? Okay. So then, like I was saying, the list has, the gerunds and the gerund verbs, and then it has infinitive. It has a list of infinitive verbs, and then over here, it has the list for both. And so what I tell the students is that gerunds and infinitives is like a marriage, okay? It's very, very similar to a marriage. In the marriage, in this particular marriage, the gerund is going to be the husband. The infinitive is going to be the wife, okay? And so what I tell them is that there are certain verbs in gerund that are only for gerund, only and exclusively for gerund. This is like the husband telling the wife, hey, those are my things. Don't touch my tools, okay? Right, ingeniero? Don't touch my tools. Or men love to have a drawer full of junk, papers and garbage and things like they love to have. I don't know why. It's like their secret hiding place. Okay, and so they tell the woman, no touchy touchy. Okay, that's my stuff. So right here, for example, one of the verbs or gerund is the verb finish. Okay, so the wife cannot touch finish. Okay, it's prohibited. Okay, she cannot get close to it. It is not of her domain. All right, and just like finish, there are many other verbs. We have some verbs in the present presentation. Okay, but we're going to see those in just a minute. And so the wife, okay, also has her own verbs. This is also the wife, okay, that says, don't touch my things because you get them and you lose them. You don't know where you put them, okay? So you don't touch my makeups, you don't touch my thing, don't move my stuff, okay? And he knows that he is not supposed to touch her things because if he touches her things, well, he's going to get into a lot of trouble, all right? But, after all, they are a marriage. And as a marriage, they have things that they both share, okay? So there are verbs that can be used by both gerund or infinitive, okay? Those can be used by both, okay? Any questions so far? Okay. I already have the list. Yes, you got it. Okay. All right. So then, here I already have the list, I'm gonna pass you the list, okay? So you can have it. Let's wait until you. There. Okay. I'm going to upload the image to Schoology, okay? So you can have it there. It's easy. Okay. Or maybe not. Okay. Can we put the USB here? Okay. You want to open it? Yes. It's very simple. It's very guava. It's my favorite one. So do you want to see it meanwhile?
I need to use your.
What happened?
It doesn't open.
Really?
I need to listen to the teacher.
It's fine. I'll be patient. There you have it. All right. Just Really?
English teachers lose their sight faster than other people. It's proven. But it's proven. Okay, so there you have the list, okay?
It's okay.
There's the list.
Yes, now you have the list. And as you can see, that's what how you can actually look at the verbs, okay? Because they usually say, it's easy, there are not a lot of verbs. Actually, there are a whole lot, there are like a whole lot more, but we just start with a couple of verbs so that you can get the hang of it, right? So as you can see there, we have, again, the list of for both. Show my online students, but it wants to show the list. I will show you the list in just a little while, okay? All right, so if we can go back to the presentation, please. Okay, back to gerunds and infinitives. All right, so the first one we already said is the infinitive after a certain verb, okay, and we have the list. And then the second one, what is it, Samantha? What is the second instruction for infinitive?
Me?
Yes, Sam.
Me?
Samantha.
Oh, which one? After an object?
After infinitive, after a verb. It's after an object. Okay. So it's okay. So we have after an object. And now you can tell your students, remember the list of pronouns or remember the objects. Okay, so whenever you have an object, in this case, what's the object? Look at the sentence. Look at her. Exactly. So after the object her, you have the infinitive. Exactly. You're going to have the infinitive. Okay? So read the full sentence, Lily.
I told her to call me.
Good. So we have I subject, told verb, yes.
Sometimes the students, how they ask, infinitive there after that. It isn't to the preposition, you have to explain about this, because they get confused. They don't know what's an infinitive, and then if they see me, they think it's a preposition.
Yes. And you actually can tell them of course, for the two works as a preposition. We're connecting two things in order to make a new one. Of compound words, okay? For example, or verbs. So get up, right? We have the verb get and we have the preposition up. But if you put it together, it literally mean, or get up, whatever. And any phrasal verb you can think of. When you put them together, it doesn't mean one happens the same thing. You use the preposition and then you use the verb to make the
The problem, I think, it will be the translation.
Yeah.
It's like if I say translate this to English, how are you trying to? Here, the translation should be.
Yeah.
To make them translate that.
No, that's why I said translate only with a purpose. But you, as a teacher, know when they can and when they can't translate. When we're looking at the second conditional, I told the teachers that, for example, if we're going to use the verb to be, it has to be were for all. If I were you, if he were, I don't know, whatever, okay? We have to use were. And then they said, they tried to translate it But they always came up with estuvo, right? Or fue. And I said, you see, when you say estuvo fue, you're talking about the past. Translate, okay, some things, because when they do it, it will be confusing. Now, if you're going to do it, if you're going to have your students translate, you have to explain, tell them that word gets that effect, okay? Fuera, un niño. We're not talking about past anymore. Fuera is not a past. We're talking about a possibility, about a condition, okay? So there are many you can translate. So you tell them, this is this is like an alloy. It's like a mixture. You cannot separate them. Okay? Definitely, because if you separate them, then you will have a preposition. Okay? And then you will have a verb. And you will not be able to translate that to anything normal in Spanish. Nation. This is an alloy. Okay? They are embedded together.